Hey everyone, Spicy Toast Gaming here with a very interesting set of reveals. So I thought today would be the support package for Volibear. These cards do not seem like they would fit that at all. Honestly, they thematically seem like they would fit with Ezreal, but Ezreal's already been in the game since like the very beginning. So not sure what these are. Also, none of them have the specific subtype, so it doesn't really seem like these will be cards that potentially fit in one of the Runeterra champions. Most of them, like for Jax, he can add any Weapon Master cards in his deck. So unless they make the deck building that you can put any card that has a play effect in your deck, maybe that's how they'll do it. But this is quite interesting. We've all been thinking that Volibear is going to be the champion out of this patch, but this kind of throws that through a loop unless this is just a variety package that they happen to all have themed together. So it's these cards up here, and each one of them have the play effect of pick a explore spell to create in hand. So let's first look at those spells. So first here we have Explorer's Blunder, 2-cost focus. So this essentially works like burst speed, except you can't use it in response to an enemy spell or an enemy attack. You have to be proactive with using these spells. You cannot be reactive. And what it does, disable an enemy's positive keywords this round, and then again at next round start. Now this would be a incredibly powerful effect if this was burst speed, because then an enemy could attack and you could use this to surprise them, getting rid of all those positive effects. This will still be quite strong, being able to get rid of some units like Elusive or Lifesteal in a round and the next round as well, but it definitely would be much stronger if it wasn't at that focus speed. Taking a look at the card art, looks quite interesting. I think this is actually one of the followers that I think it is the squid, so it looks like he accidentally essentially broke his little shell. Next up we have Explorer's Malfunction, so 2-cost slow, destroy an enemy unit's equipment. Again, a slow spell, so you have to be very proactive with this. This won't be great for Path of Champions since there's rarely any opponents that use equipment. So this is not one you're normally going to be wanting for Path of Champions. And then taking a look at the card art, man, they are really having a hard time with their glass because another one of their glass tools is breaking here. All right, next up we have Explorer's Refreshment. So looks very cozy, 2-cost focused, heal an ally or your Nexus 2, giving you a nice little bit of sustain. This will actually be pretty decent. Again though, focus speed, you need to be proactive with this. Taking a look at the card art, looks very cozy and wonderful. And then last up for the spells, we have Explorer's Excavation. So 2-cost slow, destroy a landmark. This will be good in some niche situations when there are opponents that do use landmarks. Again, it is slow, but normally when you're destroying a landmark, since the landmarks themselves are pretty slow cards, this will really be fine. Taking a look at the card art, looks like they're maybe trying to put a shovel into the ground and it's just shattering. They really have bad luck with their equipment. So those are the 4 spells. Again, all either slow or focus speeds. You're not going to use any of these reactively. 2 of them are very niche, especially for Path of Champions. There's not much equipment and there's not that many landmarks, although there's normally more landmarks than equipment. The other 2 are going to be good in most situations. Healing an ally in your Nexus, sustain, always good, or getting rid of enemies drawing keywords, also a strong effect. One thing with all of these cards, they have pick a Explorer spell to create in hand. So I think you're actually going to have the selection of any of these you want at any time. It's not like Invoke or something like that where you have to get lucky. Here it's just you're always going to be able to choose which one of these you want, which actually will make these a lot stronger because you can know, oh, they have a landmark. Let's guarantee to pull out the landmark spell this time. So that does make these all a little bit better. But nothing here is really blowing me away as far as these being very strong. Taking a look at the first Explorer, so we have the Spectral Surveyor. 3-cost 2/2 with Lifesteal and that play effect. Pretty decent stat line for having that very strong keyword. I think this will be a decent card, especially if you just get a small amount of stat upgrades or just being a deck where you can buff up some of your cards. This will be great for that because, again, Lifesteal, super important. Taking a look at the card art, this is actually really cool. I like that he has all of the different spirits working for him. He has this one taking notes for him, this one doing a little bit of excavation, and this in the background looks like the Grasp of the Undying. So a very interesting unit, and based on some of the stuff he's wearing, looks like he is from Targon. Thematically, I think all of these cards are going to be very standout. Next up, we have the Armed Acquisitioner, so 2 cost 3/1 with no keywords or anything, just again that play effect. So a very average stat line. Not really the best. There's some 1 cost that have a better stat line than this. So again, a card that just seems fine, but not really blowing me away with what it can possibly do. Taking a look at the card art though, so this is clearly a Noxus unit, and there you see we have the shovel that we saw from one of the spells, and it just seems to be a Noxus explorer exploring Shurima. Honestly, all these cards do have so much personality and just bring so much more depth to the world. I really like seeing a Noxus individual that's not necessarily trying to just be a military fighter, but is actually someone exploring. I think that's actually very cool. And this shovel does seem to be using the same rune magic as Riven's sword, which seems a little excessive just for a shovel, but is rather cool. That means this unit is probably working for the Black Rose, which is LeBlanc's organization, because they're the ones that create these rune magic weapons. Next up, we have the Portal Pioneer, so 2 cost 1/1 with Attune, and again, that play effect. So stats, really not great, but that Attune will make it so that whatever spell you pick, you only have to spend 1 mana in order to get. Again, all these cards do seem to have pretty bad stat lines, or just average at best. But taking a look at the card art, again, very well done. Looks like this person is trying to get his mount through a portal, but if you look at the portal, it looks like the giant eye of like a dragon or some large monster, and this mount is having none of it. Again, all these Explorer cards have such a great amount of personality. Next up, we have the Scholarly Pioneer, and taking a look at the photo, looks like he's having some of that hot cocoa. So 3 cost 2/3 with Challenger. Again, for the stat line, just fine. He does actually get a keyword this time, but again, nothing too crazy to write home about. Taking a look at the art, we see the Kindly Tavern Keeper. So it is pretty cool seeing them reuse this location that we've seen in many of the cards that were added a long time ago. And this looks like likely a Demacian. Let's take a look. Yes, this is a Demacian that is exploring the Freljord. And looks like he's reading up on Poros, which is rather adorable. And then last up, we have the Octo Traveler, which is a 3 cost 1/4 with Elusive. This will actually probably be a pretty solid unit, because just having an elusive, especially one with some more health that can work as an elusive blocker, is pretty strong. Or if you buff them up, they'd also be pretty good for attacking. This probably seems like one that you'd be wanting to use the most, this or the one with lifesteal. And then taking a look at the art, this is someone from Piltover and Zon that is exploring Bilgewater. And yes, this does look like the individual that we saw in the very first spell that was having a mishap of having their enclosure or jar get broken. Again, so much personality in all these cards. I really do enjoy it. So those are all the cards that got added today. They are very interesting. I do think these will probably be decent to maybe have one in your deck, since I think when you play them, you get to pick any of these cards. So just having them for those niche situations where, hey, there's a unit I need to destroy their equipment or their landmark, or just want a little bit of sustain or get rid of some strong enemy keywords. Having some of these in your deck wouldn't be bad. Having an entire deck built around these, I don't think is good. So this is potentially just a variety day, adding these different units into the game, which all have a very great sense of personality to them and really bring a lot more depth into the world. So as far as a lore or world building aspect, I really enjoy all of these cards. I think they're all very well done. But I think this is just a variety pack with all of them just having the dual regions. That these are just for putting into your deck and deck building when you want to have a little bit more tools in your deck to just deal with whatever the enemy throws at you. I don't really feel like they're going to just have a champion that's all about these explorers, because I feel like every single one of these cards, just making one of these spells, is just kind of overkill and not really needed. Let me know down below what you think of these cards though, and what you think of definitely all the card art, as I think that is the best part of these units. Alright, that's all for today. Really looking forward to this next patch. I hope you've all had a great weekend and have a great week.